And the thing is it's May still, like you were saying, like it's kind of still a speculative period for us. So it's hard not to kind of start thinking about potential splashes, And then there's also kind of more realistic options. But yeah, like splashes. I think it's a fitting time to think about splashes. We were talking about Mikal Bridges last week, and like the probability of the Kings trading for Mikal Bridges probably isn't high. Any team trading for Mikal Bridges probably isn't high, but it's interesting to talk about. It's a thing that could potentially be feasible, and I mean, it's May. It's kind of a thrill to think about. So like, there are other potential splashes, I guess, outside of Bridges, both in terms of potential free agents and also potential trade. I think you were kind of pointing out that Jerami Grant might be a decent acquisition. I think he's only 29 years old. I feel like he would fit right in, no?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Um, I think he's a better Barnes offensively and defensively. Don't know if he brings the same veteran presence as Barnes does, but overall, at least on the court, he seems like the better player and the younger player, even if by like a year or two. And he can shoot the three ball at a pretty high clip too. The only problem with Grant is that he's going to command over 30 million a year. And if you look at Jerami Grant approaching 30 years old soon, it's like, you know, is he a
Yeah.
little out of the timeline at that point? And is he really worth? I mean, he'll probably be making, I think, upwards of 30 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like the drawback for Grant. It's just crazy. The NBA money now. It's like Jeremy Grant's a guy who's going to be making 35 mil a year. How? Like, yeah, he's
Yeah.
good, but 35? I don't know. The money in the NBA is so weird now. It's like, what?
It's also just like if you play both sides of the floor pretty well. Like Andrew Wiggins is a max player in this league.
That's a good point. But he also has a championship under his belt.
That is true. That is true. And but it's just like you look at Grant. I mean, like Grant probably isn't as effective on the offensive glass as Wiggins is. But I remember on opening night, I think he had like 3 or 4 offensive rebounds. I just remember looking at Jeremy Grant. I'm like, I didn't even know that was a part of his game. Now he averaged like less than 0.8 offensive, like nothing coming off the page there in terms of offensive boards. But I mean, he'd be a nice mix of skill set. The only thing is that money, like you said, especially with them, they're going to be giving Sabonis in all likelihood an extension. So you'd be committing a lot of money, like right here and right now, and it would basically just be the bulk of your cap, I guess, would be going to 3 players. And given the depth and kind of upward nature of the core kind of growing together, I don't really know if that's something McNair would want to do, As
Yeah.
great of a player as Grant would be for the Kings. And this was also kind of this had to factor in last season when people were talking about connections to a possible trade before he ended up going to Portland. Is it really kind of the thing that McNair kind of sees happening? And I don't know. I mean, it's kind of difficult.
Yep. It is. I mean, I don't think Jeremy Grant will be coming to Sac. I think it would be a great fit. I just don't think McNair is going to want to pay him at his age with a Sabonis extension on the horizon.
Yeah.